Samuel Shafiishuna.Nujoma. Nuঃjoʊmə, born 12 May 1929, is a Namibian revolutionary, anti-apartheid activist and politician who served 3 terms as the first president of Namibia, from 1990 to 2005. Nuঃjoʊmə was a founding member and the first president of the Southwest Africa People's Organization, SWAPO. In 1960, he played an important role as leader of the National Liberation Movement in campaigning for Namibia's independence from South African rule. He established the People's Liberation Army of Namibia plan in 1962 and launched a guerrilla war against the apartheid government of South Africa in 1966. Beginning after the United Nations withdrew the mandate for South Africa to govern the territory, Nuঃjoʊmə led SWAPO during the lengthy Namibian War of Independence, which lasted from 1966 to 1989. During World War I, South Africa defeated the German colonial forces in Southwest Africa and established martial law in the colony after making a peace treaty in July 1915. After the war, the League of Nations officially assigned the former German colony to the United Kingdom as a mandate under the administration of South Africa. When the National Party won the 1948 election in South Africa, it passed laws establishing racial segregation known as apartheid. It applied these laws to Southwest Africa as well, which it governed as the de facto 5th province of South Africa. Apartheid created strict racial classifications and reduced the rights of natives. Particularly, Nuঃjoʊmə became involved in anti-colonial politics during the 1950s. In 1959, he traveled to Cape Town, South Africa and became a founder and president of the Ovamboland People's Organization, OPO, a nationalist organization advocating an independent Namibia. In December 1958 he was an organizer of the Old Location Resistance and was arrested and deported to Ovamboland. In 1960 he escaped and went into exile-Tanzania where he was welcomed by Julius Nyerere. Namibia finally achieved independence in 1990, holding its first democratic elections. SWAPO won a majority and Nuঃjoʊmə was elected as the country's first president on March 21, 1990. He was re-elected for 2 more terms in 1994 and 1999. Nuঃjoʊmə retired as SWAPO party president on November 30, 2007. He published his autobiography Where Others Wavered in 2005. He has received multiple honors and awards for his outstanding leadership including the Lenin Peace Prize, Indira Gandhi Peace Prize, and the Ho Chi Minh Peace Prize. The Parliament of Namibia honored him with the titles Founding President of the Republic of Namibia and Father of the Namibian Nation. In 2007 SWAPO named him as leader of the Namibian Revolution. Quote, early life. Samuel Daniel Nuঃjoʊmə was born at Etunda, a village in Omandhera, near the town of Okahau, Ovamboland, Southwest Africa on 12 May 1929. Nuঃjoʊmə was born to Helvia Mpingana Kondombolo, 1898–2008, and Daniel Uutani Nuঃjoʊmə, 1893–1968. He is the eldest of his parents' 11 children. He spent much of his early childhood looking after his siblings and tending to the family's cattle and traditional farming activities. His educational opportunities were limited. He started attending a Finnish missionary school at Okahau when he was 10 and completed Standard 6, which was as high as possible for blacks during the time. In 1946, at age 17, he moved to Walvis Bay live with his aunt, where he began his first employment at a general store for a monthly salary of 10 shillings. He would later also work at a whaling station. While there he was exposed to world politics by meeting soldiers from Argentina, Norway and other parts of Europe who had come during World War II. In 1949, Nujoma moved to Windhoek where he started work as a cleaner for the South African Railways (SAR), while attending adult night school at St. Barnabas Anglican Church School in the Windhoek Old location, mainly with the aim of improving his English. He further studied for his junior certificate through correspondence at the Trans-Africa Correspondence College in South Africa. Political career. Nujoma became involved in politics in the early 1950s through trade unions. Nujoma's political outlook was shaped by his work experiences, his awareness of the contract labor system, and his increasing knowledge of the independence campaigns across Africa. In 1957, at age 29, Nujoma resigned from SAR so he could devote more time to politics. A year earlier in 1956, he visited Cape Town, South Africa and met a group of Ovambo Namibians working there, including Andimba Toivo Ya Toivo, who were opposed to South African policies in Southwest Africa. In 1957 they formed the Ovamboland People's Congress, OPC. On 19 April 1959 OPC became a nationalist organization and was renamed Ovamboland People's Organization, OPO. Nujoma was co-founder and became its first and only president. During the next year he traveled Namibia in secret to spread the word about OPO. In September 1959, he joined the executive committee of the Southwest Africa National Union, SWANU, which was at the time an umbrella body for anti-colonial resistance groups, including OPO. After the Old Location massacre on 10 December 1959, Nujoma was arrested and charged for organizing the resistance and faced threats of deportation to the north of the country. By the directive of OPO leadership and in collaboration with Chief Hosea Kutako, it was decided that Nujoma join the other Namibians in exile who were lobbying the United Nations on behalf of the anti-colonial cause for Namibia. In 1960, Nujoma petitioned the UN through letters and eventually went into exile in February of that year. He left Namibia on 29 February, crossing into Bechuanaland and from there traveling to Bulawayo in southern Rhodesia by train. He flew from Bulawayo to Salisbury and on to Ndola in northern Rhodesia. With the assistance of a member of the Northern Rhodesian United National Independence Party, UNIP, he crossed into the Katanga province of Belgian Congo. There Nujoma met Moise Sombe from the Konarkad Party of Congolese. Crossing back over the border to Ndola he boarded a flight to Mbeya. In Mbeya, he was treated for malaria and escaped from the hospital after being threatened with arrest by the British authorities. From Mbeya, Nujoma traveled with the assistance of officials of the Tanganyika African National Union, TANU, via Nyombe, Iringa and Dodoma to Dar es Salaam, with the assistance of Julius Nyerere, then president of TANU. He received a passport. While in Tanganyika, he received permission to address the UN Committee on Southwest Africa in New York. In April 1960, Nujoma traveled from Tanganyika to Khartoum, Sudan, and from there to Accra, Ghana, where he attended the All-African People's Conference organized by Kwame Nkrumah against the French atom bomb test in the Sahara Desert. Nujoma met with other African nationalist leaders such as Patrice Lumumba, Gamal Abdel Nasser, Joseph Kasavubu and Frantz Fanon at the conference. His early encounters with other African nationalist leaders left a lasting impression and informed his Pan-African outlook. Kwame Nkrumah assisted Nujoma to travel to United States and later to Liberia, where a case on Southwest Africa was being presented to the International Court of Justice. After breaking away from SWANU, OPO reconstituted itself as the Southwest Africa People's Organization, SWAPO, in New York on 19 April 1960. Nujoma was elected president in absentia. He arrived in New York in June 1960 where he petitioned before the subcommittee of the Fourth Committee of the General Assembly of the United Nations. Nujoma demanded that Southwest Africa be given its independence by 1963 at the latest. He then returned to Tanganyika in 1961, from where he and a small group of activists would develop SWAPO into an international force. He received support from other African nationalists and received strong backing from Julius Nyerere. Nujoma established SWAPO's provisional headquarters in Dar es Salaam and arranged scholarships and military training for Namibians who had started to join him there. Among the first arrivals were Mzee Kaukungwa, Mosati Jatendero and Hifikepunye Pohamba. In 1962, SWAPO founded its armed wing, the People's Liberation Army of Namibia. Plan. Nujoma himself procured the first weapons from Algeria via Egypt, Sudan, Tanzania and Zambia, from where they were taken to Omugulugwambashi in Ovamboland on 21 March 1966, in a bid to test South Africa's claims at the International Court of Justice at The Hague that Namibians in exile were free to return, an assertion that they were in self-imposed exile. Nujoma, accompanied by Hifikepunye Pohamba, chartered a plane to Windhoek. On arrival at the airport, they were arrested and deported to Zambia the next day. On 26 August 1966, the first armed clash of the liberation struggle took place when the South African Defence Force and Southwest African Territorial Force attacked SWAPO Plan combatants who had set up a camp at Omugulugwambashi. The attack would mark the beginning of the Namibian War of Independence, which would last more than 25 years. In 1969, Nujoma was reaffirmed as SWAPO president at the Tanga Consultative Conference in Tanzania. In the late 1960s, Nujoma continued his diplomatic rounds as SWAPO set up offices across Africa, Europe and the Americas. He represented SWAPO at the founding of the Non-Aligned Movement on 1 September 1961 in Belgrade, Yugoslavia, as well as at the founding of the Organization of African Unity, OAU, in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia on 25 May 1963. In 1965, the OAU recognized SWAPO as the only lawful representative of the Namibian people. In October 1971, he became the first leader of an African nationalist movement to address the United Nations Security Council in New York, leading to the UN General Assembly passing a resolution declaring SWAPO as the sole and authentic representative of the Namibian people. Quote, in 1974, the Portuguese Empire collapsed and Namibia's border with Angola opened up. Nujoma recognized that this paved the way for major changes in the way the war was being fought. And over the next 2 years, SWAPO's military campaign shifted its base from Zambia to Angola. The opening of the border enabled thousands of SWAPO supporters to stream out of Namibia to join the movement in exile. Nujoma's son Utani Nujoma and his 2 brothers were among those who arrived in Zambia. In the late 1970s, Nujoma led the SWAPO negotiations team between the Western Contact Group, WCG, which consisted of West Germany, Britain, France, US and Canada, and South Africa on the one hand, and the frontline states and Nigeria on the other, about proposals that would eventually become United Nations Security Council Resolution 435, passed in September 1978. while agreement on Resolution 435, which embodied the plan for free and fair elections in Namibia, was undoubtedly a diplomatic coup. Its implementation became bogged down for another 10 years. South African delaying tactics and the American President Ronald Reagan administration's decision to link a Cuban withdrawal from Angola to Namibia independence frustrated hopes of an immediate settlement. On 19 March 1989, the signing of the ceasefire agreement with South Africa took place, which resulted in the implementation of the UN Security Council Resolution 435. After 29 years in exile, Nujoma returned to Namibia on September 1989 to lead SWAPO to victory in the UN-supervised elections that paved the way for independence. The Constituent Assembly, elected in November 1989, chose him as Namibia's first president. Nujoma was sworn in on 21 March 1990, in the presence of Javier Pérez de Cuellar, Secretary-General of the UN, Frederick de Klerk, President of South Africa, and Nelson Mandela, just released from prison, President of SWAPO. In 1959, Nujoma co-founded the Ovamboland People's Organization, OPO, and became its first president. The next year, in 1960, he became the first president of the Southwest Africa People's Organization, SWAPO. At the time, South Africa administered the land under a policy of apartheid, in which the best resources were reserved for those classified white, while other Namibians were treated as inferior. After years of asking the United Nations to ensure the occupying power, South Africa released control of Southwest Africa. He authorized armed resistance in 1966. This began the Namibian War of Independence, which lasted 24 years. During the struggle, Nujoma took the combat name Shafiishuna, meaning lightning, as the name was in his family on his father's side. During the liberation struggle, Nujoma was also the commander-in-chief of the People's Liberation Army of Namibia, PLAN, and the chairman of the SWAPO Military Council, which was the biggest decision-making body of PLAN. After serving 47 years as leader of SWAPO, he was succeeded by Hifikepunye Pohamba in 2007. There was speculation that he would be re-elected as SWAPO leader in 2007 and that he was planning to run for president again in 2009. In early October 2007, however, Nujoma said that he had no intention of seeking re-election as SWAPO president and would stand aside in favor of Pohamba. Pohamba was accordingly elected unopposed as SWAPO president on 29 November 2007 at a party congress. Nujoma said that he was passing the torch and mantle of leadership to Comrade Pohamba. The Congress also decided to give Nujoma the title of leader of the Namibian Revolution, in addition to his existing title, founding father of the Namibian Nation. Choosing to leave active politics, Nujoma was not re-elected to the SWAPO Central Committee of the Politburo, but the Congress granted him permission to attend meetings of the Central Committee and Politburo at his discretion. He may also receive the title of National Chairman of SWAPO, President of Namibia. As head of SWAPO, Nujoma was unanimously declared president upon the victory of SWAPO in a United Nations supervised election in 1989, and was sworn in by UN Secretary-General Javier Pérez de Cuellar on 21 March 1990. At independence, Namibia was gravely divided as a result of a century of colonialism, dispossession, and racial discrimination, compounded by armed struggle and propaganda. For instance, SWAPO had been so demonized by the colonial media and by official pronouncements that most white people, as well as many members of other groups, regarded the movement with the deepest fear, loathing, and suspicion. One of Nujjoma's earliest achievements was to proclaim the policy of national reconciliation, which aimed to improve and harmonize relations amongst Namibia's various racial and ethnic groups. Under his presidency, Namibia made steady if unspectacular economic progress, maintained a democratic system with respect for human rights, observed the rule of law, and worked steadily to eradicate the heritage of apartheid in the interests of developing a non-racial society. Nujjouma successfully united all Namibians into a peaceful, tolerant and democratic society governed by the rule of law. In 1992, Norway decided to stop drought relief to Namibia in response to the purchase of an expensive new presidential jet and 2 new VIP helicopters. The planes were bought a few weeks after Sam Nujjouma had appealed to the international community for drought aid. In 1990, Nujjouma initiated a plan for land reform, in which land would be redistributed from whites to blacks. Some 12% of the total commercial farmland in the country was taken away from white farmers and given to black citizens by 2007. However, according to a 1998 statement made by the Cabinet of Namibia, the agricultural base is too weak to offer a sustainable basis for prosperity, and 38% of Namibia's rural population continue to live beneath the poverty line as of 2010. Nujjouma was re-elected as President of Namibia in December 1994 with 76.3% of the vote. The Constitution of Namibia was changed to allow Nujjouma to run for a third 5-year term in 1999. This was justified on the grounds that he had not been directly elected for his first term, and the change applied only to Nujjouma. He won the 1999 election with 76.8% of the vote. The constitution did not allow Nujjouma to run in November 2004 for a fourth term, and there was not much enthusiasm even within SWAPO to change it again. Hifikepunye Pohamba, described as Nujjoma's hand-picked successor, was elected as the candidate for the presidential election during the SWAPO Congress held on 30 May 2004, defeating 2 other candidates, Nahazangula and Hidepo Hamatenya. The latter had been dismissed from his post of Foreign Affairs Minister by Nujjouma barely 2 days before the Congress. Pohamba was elected with a large majority and was sworn in as second President of Namibia on 21 March 2005. In 1998, Nujjouma came to the defense of the Democratic Republic of Congo President Laurent Kabila. When his rule came under threat from rebels backed by Rwanda and Uganda during the Second Congo War, Namibia became involved in the war on behalf of its commitment to the Southern African Development Community, SADC. Namibian, Angolan and Zimbabwean troops helped Kabila fend off the attacks, a move which Nujjouma saw as defending the DRC's sovereignty against outside interference. Nujjouma was the international patron and a strong supporter of the Cheetah Conservation Fund, based in Namibia. Post-presidency. Despite stepping down from a formal role, Nujjouma is still active in the political sphere, regularly campaigning for SWAPO at various rallies and functions across the country. In 2009, Sam Nujjouma attained a master's degree in geology from the University of Namibia. The director of the National Society for Human Rights, NSHR, in Namibia stated that Nujjouma had connections to the CIA. The organization has asked the International Criminal Court to investigate Nujjouma and what they say is his role in disappearances during his term. To date, these claims have not been substantiated. Marriage and personal life. Nujoma married Kuvambo Kajimune on 6 May 1956. The couple had 3 sons and 2 daughters. Utani Nujoma, 1952. John Nujoma, 1955. Zakaria Zaki Nujoma, 1957. Nelago Nujoma, 1959, who died at 18 months while Nujoma was in exile. And Uzuta Nujoma, 1965. 2 decades elapsed before his wife joined him abroad. Nujoma's firstborn son, Utani, is a high-ranking politician and member of SWAPO who is both a member of Cabinet and National Assembly of Namibia. His youngest son, Zaki, is a geologist by profession who has interest in business and mining. Nujoma's father, Daniel Utani Nujoma, whose sole crime was being Nujoma's father, was arrested at Okaha and sent to Pretoria prison in 1966. There he developed tuberculosis from which he later died in 1968. Nujoma's mother, Kuku Helviampingana Kondombolo, lived to an exceptionally old age, dying in November 2008. She was reportedly more than 100 years old. Zacharias Zaki Nujoma, youngest son of Sam Nujoma, has been named in association with the Panama Papers. Honors and recognition. Honorary doctorates. See also History of Namibia, and Imbatoivo Yatoivo, co-founder of both OPO and SWAPO. Aaron Mushimba, brother-in-law and prominent businessperson. Bibliography. Sam Nujoma, Where Others Wavered. The Autobiography of Sam Nujoma. London 2001. Nujoma's interview to German magazine Die Welt. In German. Nujoma, Where Others Wavered. 2006. IMDb.